Hi everyone, this is Bitupan here. Welcome to Mindful Talks, where you find amazing people sharing their knowledge and their experiences. And I share this knowledge with you so that you learn a lot from their wisdom. My mission is to make people live a mindful living. Today's guest is Dr. V. Mohan, who is the founder and chief diabetologist of Dr. Mohan's Diabetes Specialty Center and also the president and director of Madras Diabetes Research Foundation. He has been identified as one among five scientists from India who are listed by Stanford University as among top 2% of all scientists in the world in the specialty of endocrinology and metabolism. His contribution in the field of diabetes is known nationally and internationally. He was awarded Dr. Harold Rifkin Award for Distinguished International Service in the Cause of Diabetes Award by the American Diabetes Association, and he is the first Indian to receive this award. In 2012, he received Padma Shri from the Government of India. He also received Dr. B.C. Roy Award of the Medical Council of India. Dr. Mohan's group is one of the largest healthcare group in Asia devoted to the treatment of diabetes and its complications. It has over 48 branches and spread across 32 cities and 8 states of India, and it has treated nearly 9 lakh diabetes patients. Recently, he released this book called Making Excellence a Habit, The Secret to Building a World-Class Healthcare System in India. This book is an autobiography of Dr. Mohan, where he shared his journey of how he became an expert in this field. He has shared his success mantras as well. Each chapter talks about important topics like focus, failure is never final, team building, spirituality, etc. This book has been much appreciated by all the readers, including distinguished personalities like VVS Lakshman, Anil Kumble, and Kiran Mazumdar Shaw. I am really honored to have him for a conversation on my show, and you all are going to learn a lot from him. I'm excited to talk to him. Let's get started. Thank you so much for joining, sir. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you, Bitupan. It's a great pleasure and honor for me to take part in this particular session. It's a session with a difference, I would say. Normally, people ask me about diabetes and other things, but about mindfulness, I think, the first time that I'm actually speaking on this. So,
Wow.
thank you.
I'm glad and I'm really honored to have you on my show, sir.
Thank
And
you.
I mostly wanted to talk about your book because yours is just such a beautiful book. And I know that, it's on number one Amazon right now. Uh, Sir, let's start off with this question. You have a chapter on serendipity, right? And when I like this topic, serendipity, but for viewers, if somebody is hearing this for the first time, can you please tell what is serendipity and your story on behind this?
Yeah. So I'm glad you picked up that one as the first one because this is something which people contest. And in
Mm,
fact, people have read the preview of my book, one or two of my classmates and so on. When I said serendipity occurs, they don't believe in it at all. They said, no, 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 it's not serendipity. You have just made it happen and so on. But for
mm,
me, from with a slightly spiritual bent of mind, what I believe is that nothing happens by chance. Everything is kind
mm,
of preordained. And if you look at the Mahabharata, when Lord Krishna, when Arjuna, is hesitating to fight on the
mm,
Kurukshetra battlefield, and he
mm,
said, "How can I kill my own relatives?" That's
mm.
when Lord Krishna says, "You have already killed them. This is only in slow motion. Now we are going to go. In my
Right.
time scale, you already finished." And he shows him a
Mm,
kind of a flashback and says, "It's already
mm.
all done. You think you are the doer, and that is why it happens. If you think that I am the doer, then you will not think that I am killing my relatives and so on. You're only doing a dharma. That's how as you know, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita starts.
Right.
In that sense, I also believe that circumstances in life, you suddenly meet someone, okay, out of the
Mm,
blue. Not that
right.
every person you meet something happens, but
Agree.
more often than not, that person whom we just make a casual acquaintance with can play a big role in our lives. For
Right.
example, I talk about an incident in Barcelona many years ago where I had just gone to the restroom for a conference, and there was another part of the conference occurring, and another person from the US had just come there. And
Mm,
just coming out, he said, "Are you from India?" He asked me. So I said, "Yes." So he said, "Do you know his friend, Dr. Gundu Rao?" And
okay.
of course, I didn't know Dr. Gundu Rao, although he was from Karnataka. I didn't know him at that time, and he was in Minnesota with him. Then he
Mm,
started talking. He said, "No, no, Gundu Rao is a good friend of mine." And in fact, there is a meeting in Delhi which I am coming to. I'll ask Gundarao to invite you. You should also come and all that. So that
Hmm.
started off a series of dramas, I would call it, where Gundarao wrote to me. I went to Delhi. I attended this conference. While I attended the conference, there I met a young. I went to another session because I had half an hour left for going to the airport. So I said, let me go to another session, cardiology session. So I went and
Hmm.
sat. It was terribly boring. So sitting
Okay.
next to me was a young man. So I said, it's boring, no? I said, he said, yes, let's go out for coffee. I said. So I just took him along. Then we exchanged cards and turned out that he is a young cardiologist from the University of Alabama, whom I was
Hmm.
not supposed to meet at all. I just went to that boring session.
Hmm.
If the session wasn't boring, I wouldn't even have met him. I wouldn't even have seen him.
Right. Right.
Then he listened to my story. I have a big diabetes center and things like that. He said, hey, I'm also interested in this topic. And I've got a free day. Why don't you come to Chennai? He said. So he came to
Hmm.
Chennai, took a flight, and he came to Chennai. He got so impressed by our center that we started working together. Then we wrote a big project, an American project, big NIH grant, which we got.
Hmm.
And then after getting that grant, he gets pancreatic cancer and he dies within 3 months. But by that
Oh,
time, he has introduced me to another colleague. And with that colleague of his and me, for 15 years, we ran that project.
wow.
And continuously it was funded. We trained, hundreds of thousands of scientists, doctors, students, community medicine professors. We had several trips. Now, if you think about it, see the serendipity. I go to the restroom. If
Hmm.
I gone there 5 minutes later, 5 minutes earlier, I wouldn't have met this professor.
Right.
He
Right.
was only a link to Dr. Gundurao, who was a link to call me to the meeting. And in the meeting, I gave my talk and I would have come off to the airport, but I just had half an hour time and I was sitting there. Then I meet
Hmm.
this young man. And then that man, and I get together and we write a grant which gets funded. Unfortunately, he
Hmm.
dies. But then he hands it over to somebody. It looks like a movie plot. The
You're
whole thing
right.
happens. What I
Hmm.
mean by serendipity. You just meet somebody casually and then it triggers sometimes 10, 15 years or more of collaboration, so many things happening. When I tell this to people, they say, you made use of every opportunity.
Hmm.
You're just saying it's serendipity and all that. It's not serendipity. If you had not invited him to Chennai to come to think, he would not have come. If you had not followed up on Gundurao's invitation, you would not have gone to Delhi. I said,
Hmm.
that's all fine. But how did it all start? It all
Yes.
started with a person whom I never met before. And so that's the thing between serendipity and thing. What I'm saying, all I'm saying in that book is, I'm not saying wait for something to happen from heaven and then give it to you. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, keep your mind open because you never know what
Hmm.
it will lead to. So I'm not saying do something wrong. I'm saying do something right. Do something which your mind tells you is correct. But don't lose an opportunity. Because once you lose an opportunity, you may never get it again.
That's
In your
true.
lifetime, that opportunity may not come again. So that is what I mean by serendipity. And in that chapter, I'm talking about however small an opportunity may seem, if you think it's worth pursuing it, the mind tells you to pursue it. Somewhere an
Hmm.
inner intuition tells you, follow
Hmm.
this path. Tells you,
Yes.
listen to your inner voice. That inner voice, I believe, is God, is guiding you in the
Right.
proper way. And if you keep it alive, that voice will be quite powerful and you'll be able to guide you in the right
Hmm.
way. You can call it conscience, you can call it God, you can call it whatever you want. But for that, you must have the faith in that. Because if you don't have faith, everything will poo poo. Everything will say, "Ah, that's not true. That is not correct." That's why some people don't have that because they keep dismissing everything. They're
Right.
total doubting Thomas. They never believe anything you tell them. What if I
Hmm.
tell them now, they'll say it's all made up. He's just making all this up. So that I
Hmm.
believe is serendipity.
No, you rightly said, intuition is like God saying something. I
Correct.
recently read a quote. Okay. Somebody said that prayer is like telephoning God, and intuition is
Correct.
like God telephoning you. So that was
Correct.
a very
Correct.
good quote that I liked.
Absolutely. It's a
And I,
very nice one. Very nice.
right. And I completely agree. People, if they look into their own life closely, they'll understand that one little small decision that they would have taken differently, their life would have been a
Correct.
different route altogether now, right?
Completely change.
Yes,
Completely
yes,
change. And
I agree.
sometimes it can happen like that. It can come when you're having a bath, an idea
Hmm.
will come or something will come,
Right.
or you may meet somebody casually over some conference, you would have just met somebody or
Hmm.
something. God makes those opportunities, and then it's
Right.
up to us. Not everything ends up in like this, but
True.
they do.
Yes, yes. Very true. And then, sir, you have a chapter about empathy also. And I think to all the people whom I know and who are in the self development stage, or they're developing, they're growing themselves, and they say that, by reading a lot of self help books, the one thing that they have learned is empathy. And also I know many entrepreneurs who say that, empathy is such a skill which has really helped them to grow in their business. What do you have to say about empathy, sir? And you have written a chapter also on that. Can you tell
Yeah.
more about it?
So I think the first thing is to distinguish empathy from sympathy. You know,
Right.
sympathy is also good. I sympathize with you, but
Hmm.
that assumes that you are superior to that particular person. Now,
Uh,
suppose you are sitting there, and I say I sympathize with you. You are sitting in a much smaller city than me. So I am sitting in a bigger place. I am the greatest, and that is
mm,
why I'm sympathizing with you because you are so small. And so I'm that. So when you say take the thing of sympathy, you are
mm,
assuming that you are much bigger, and therefore you're sympathizing with that guy.
right.
Empathy is not that person can be a nobody, but you're empathizing for that person. When that person
Mm,
tells you, I lost my father and anything, your heart, bleeds as if you have lost your own father. You know,
mm,
a patient will come and say, I have no money. And so genuinely, of course, some cheat also, but somebody genuinely coming and saying, I don't have money. There have been instances where I have given money to them and said,
oh.
not only you don't pay, you keep this money also. You don't have money to go home. Use this for your train fare or bus fare or something like that. Very
Mm,
often when I do this, my colleagues tell me, and I think that also I have in my chapter, in one of my chapters, where I had given a free treatment to somebody. Okay.
okay.
And the
Okay.
reason I gave that free treatment was that particular, I was working in a particular field.
Mm,
It's a small, narrow field called fibrocalcific pancreatic diabetes. The type of diabetes is very rare. You
okay.
develop stones inside the pancreas.
Okay.
Very painful condition, have recurrent abdominal pain. They're very lean, emaciated. They usually need insulin. Most of them are poor. Many of them need surgery, and some of them go and develop pancreatic cancer also. It's a
Mm,
kind of a disease. Nobody had worked much in it, and I had spent a lot of my 15 years of my life I worked on it. I collected about
mm,
1,000 cases or so. And these, because of that, it resulted in about 75 original articles that I wrote in this. It's a kind of record, one simple, rare disease to write so many
mm,
papers. So what happened was I used to feel, these are poor people. And so although I was working in a private center, I was not working in a government center. So if they come to see me, they have to pay. Okay. So I said, okay, all of y'all are going to be treated free. Why? Because whenever I need y'all, y'all are coming to see me.
mm,
Okay. You're a precious type of diabetes which no one else in the world has such a large collection. And
mm,
for me, I got my PhD with that. I got my Doctor of Science with that. And your contribution to that, your records and everything I have used to, write my papers and so on. In
mm,
return, what can I do to you? At least I can offer you free treatment. So I
mm,
was giving free treatment to them. What happened was one of these chaps, patients who was there, he needed surgery.
okay.
And he went to a classmate of mine who was a
Oh,
surgeon.
okay.
So that man operated on him, took his full fees and everything. And then after, when the patient was getting discharged from his hospital, he called me and he said, Mohan, this fellow has completely cheated you. He was telling me that you're giving him free treatment. Do you know he paid every rupee that I asked him to pay? Then I
Oh.
said, I offered him the free treatment. He never asked me, first of all, you're a fool, he said. You're a fool. See how easily
Oh.
you're getting fooled, he said. I said,
Mm,
no, I don't think I'm a fool, and I don't think he fooled me because there are very often he said he will pay, and I said,
mm,
no, you're coming and you're participating in this and being with me itself is enough for me. I don't need
mm,
to take money also from you, and so let this be a small contribution from me. And this is my empathy to you. It's not sympathy; it's my empathy. I'm empathizing with you to have a disease like this. So let me empathize. Let this be my contribution to that. I tried to explain
mm.
it to this guy, but he would not listen. He was under the
Okay.
impression that I've been completely fooled by this guy.
Oh.
So it depends on how you look at it. Empathy is very different. Not everybody has that empathy in them, but it's one of the most virtuous of human virtues that
Mm,
you feel for somebody. And if somebody is telling you something and it doesn't even make an impression on you, if it doesn't even stir an emotion in you, if it doesn't make you feel kindly towards that particular person, then I would say, are you really human or not? You know, it's like talking to a wall. You know, to go and talk to the wall, what will the wall do? Wall will not do anything. So should you be like that as a human being? Somebody's coming and telling you, okay, now what next? Fellow's talking all this, and then you are kind of dismissing it. All right, next, come back and see me after. It's like as if you told a wall, so that I think as a doctor, it's very important to have this empathy. A lot of doctors have. I'm not saying I'm the only one, but I am writing this book for juniors, for others to understand and so on. And
Right.
when they're thinking of making money and getting into that rat race and all, they forget this part.
Hmm.
So in one of my chapters, I talk about entrepreneurship. Then I
Hmm.
say it's almost become like a bad word. You know,
Okay.
entrepreneurship means profits. That means it's a bad word. You are fleecing people. As if not necessarily. Entrepreneurship can mean that you're starting something which can also grow bigger, for which you do need money. Nothing in the world comes free. There's no free lunch.
Of
So
course.
everything, but I
Hmm.
bring in two other E's. That is empathy and one more E. So if you combine these, I say that then the entrepreneurship is not a bad word, because you're doing it with love and with empathy. So entrepreneurship by itself is not a bad thing. So you only
Right.
thing you must bring in integrity, you must bring in honesty, you must bring in empathy. Once you bring in all this, then even entrepreneurship is good.
Right, right. Very nicely explains with examples the difference between empathy and sympathy. Most people are sympathetic, of course, but
Correct.
it's very difficult to be, empathetic. And then, sir, I want to talk about very interesting topic for me, and I have done a lot of research on this, and I know about it. But for the viewers, I wanted you to talk the placebo effect, which is that
Placebo.
yeah, yeah, it is like you don't it's a positive thinking kind of an effect, right? You just think that you are healing and you automatically get healed. So can you talk about that?
Yeah. So the placebo effect, let me explain it in scientific terms what it is.
Hmm.
Now, suppose you come to me. All right, let's take sugar itself. Now, you come to me, and I'm just giving a crude example. I give you this pen, and I'll say, you hold this pen tight enough, and your sugar will come down. Something like that. Just some ridiculous thing I'm just saying. So something like that. Now,
Hmm.
how do you test it? Okay.
Hmm.
So you make the fellow, who is one group of people to hold the pen and see how much it will come down, and another group who are not holding the pen and how much it will come down. Okay,
Hmm.
let me not hold the pen; it's too simple. Let me say some leaf I'm giving you now. I'm giving you a leaf and saying, you take this leaf and your sugar is going to come down. I'm telling you that,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
because I'm saying it, many will believe it,
Hmm.
and they will go and they will and I'll also add a lot of things to that. Now this leaf has to be also put in water, and overnight you have to keep it, and then you drink the water and then throw away the leaf. But when you drink the water, the sugar will come down. Something like this I tell people. Okay,
Hmm.
maybe totally made up, maybe nothing at all.
Yes.
You won't believe it. If I give this to 100 people, in 10 or 20 people, the sugar will come down. Okay.
Hmm.
Now because he's doing it with full faith, okay, that it will happen. He is convinced that it will happen. Dr. Mohan says it must be true. Okay.
Right.
So that is the placebo effect, where the mind has a great control over every organ in the body. Okay, the brain
Hmm.
and the mind are connected to every part of the body. So whether it's insulin secretion or action or reducing the blood pressure or reducing your stress or reducing whatever it is, mind plays a big role. So once
Hmm.
you have taken that with full faith, there will be a certain reduction. That is not the effect of the leaf at all. It is effect of your faith, and that is called as a placebo effect. Okay.
Wow.
So let me say we have two groups of people. Group
Hmm.
A, I gave only this. I gave this leaf. Okay. To group B, I gave a different leaf, which really has some anti-diabetic property. Let us say,
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
told them also, but I'm not telling them which is which. Otherwise, they won't take the one who, if I tell them this is not real medicine, they will not take. So I got
Hmm.
two leaves now, A and B.
Right.
A, I'm telling them this will bring down your blood sugar. B also, I'm saying it will bring down blood sugar. B has really some medicinal property in it. Okay. Now, A reduces the sugar by, say, 20 milligrams.
Hmm.
B reduces by 40. Okay. So that extra effect that you see, A, B minus A, that kind of effect is due to that particular leaf's medicinal property.
Hmm.
Reduction brought by A is a placebo effect. That will come with everybody. That will be there in this leaf also. So 20
Right.
will come down in A, 20 will come down in B also, but another 20 is coming down in B because it has a medicinal property. So the
Wow.
real effect of the drug is the placebo subtracted effect. So
Hmm.
what I'm saying is, if that so much reduction is there in that placebo effect, why not use it in practice? That 20% will
Hmm.
anyway come down. No? So
Right.
how do you use a placebo effect? You tell people, okay, now if you do this regularly, it is going to come down. All right. And I tell people, I give many instances in the book. There was one lady who her sugar was not at all coming down. Okay.
Hmm. I
So
actually
for
wanted to
three
ask you some success stories. Good that you are mentioning by
Yeah, success
yourself.
stories. So these are true stories,
Huh,
So
huh.
when her sugar, her see the HbA1c test has to be below 7 if it's under good control.
Hmm.
Below 5.6 is normal, non-diabetic. 5.6 to 7 is good control for a diabetic patient. If it goes to
Hmm.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, worse and worse and worse control. So there was one lady whose HbA1c is never coming down below 8.5. Okay,
Hmm.
whatever I try, whatever insulin I give, whatever tablet I give, it will never come. So one day I sat with her and I said, you know what? I'm going to do a little prayer for you. Okay. And with this, your HbA1c is going to come down below 7. Will it come, doctor? I said, I guarantee it will come. Okay. And to further substantiate it, I took the case sheet and I wrote there, I made a box. Her
Hmm.
blood sugar next time, her HbA1c next time will be below 7%. Okay.
Okay.
I wrote that, signed it, and I put the date. And I said, I'm now signing and telling you that it will
Hmm.
be below.
Wow.
Okay. And I said, can you also sign? Let us
Oh.
sign. It's like an agreement. Okay.
Okay.
So she
Okay.
also signed. And I also signed. I said, okay, now both of us have signed it now. Next time, if it is not below 7, I will be ashamed to meet you.
Hmm.
Okay. You will be ashamed to meet me also. Both of us have signed. Okay. Let us see what happens. I gave her the same medicine. Didn't even change the medicine. Next time she came to 6.8.
Wow.
Okay.
Hmm.
How did this work? How did this work? When
Hmm.
all the other drugs did not work, I played into her mind. I played into her
Hmm.
mind. I did a prayer, so God's grace would have been there. I believe an atheist won't believe that. I believe that God's help has also come. But through that, those 3 months, a 3 months test, those 3 months, she'd have been thinking of that signature that she put. Okay, and every sweet which came away, she'd have said, this will take my thing above 7. So I don't want it. So I was able to influence her lifestyle. She would have started walking. She would have
Right.
started taking it regularly. Everything she would have done. Okay. And her HbA1c came below 7. Now people say, how can you say that you reduced it? I'm not saying I reduced it. I'm just
Hmm.
saying I used a non-dangerous method of reducing her HbA1c. I didn't give her more medicine. I didn't
Hmm.
threaten her. I didn't do anything. I just took her as a partner in this particular project, and together we did it. She
Hmm.
did it, of course, but with my guidance. Now we have signed it. Okay. So when I show my juniors this, they say, this is something, no doctor talks about all this. I
Hmm.
said, that's because a doctor is doing the conventional thing. This is not control, give more insulin. That doesn't work, give more tablet. Then something. That's one method to go. I'm not saying there are many patients who may need it as well. As a scientist has published 1,300 papers, I'm not denying that at all. But there are other ways which you're not exploring. Explore those.
Hmm.
They cost nothing. What do they cost? Did I charge her more for that? Did I take an extra amount because she got it below 7% next time? Now you got it, pay me
Hmm.
1,000 rupees more. No, this is purely empathy, purely, the placebo effect which I've employed. And it
Wow.
worked. I'm saying employ it more often. Tell people,
Hmm.
give them hope. Tell them you're going to become all right. And then they will take an optimistic approach and they will do well.
Very nice. So, for viewers, if you have listened to this story, it is that placebo effect is that when you tell somebody a lie saying that this is a real medicine, the effect comes down a lot because they have to faith in that medicine, even if it is not real, it is
I
fake.
wouldn't say it's a lie.
Hmm.
It need not even be like a medicine. It
Hmm.
can be a reinforcement of their faith.
Reinforcement
Suppose
of
you tell
faith.
them, I am
Hmm.
telling you it's going to come down. They have a
Hmm.
lot of faith in you. They're
Yes.
considering you like God. They are coming. It's
Right.
coming from you now. And you're
Hmm.
saying, I am guaranteeing that next time it will be below 7. Okay?
Hmm.
Do you agree with that? Yes, I agree with that. Okay, then let's do it. Let's see whether next time will happen. Now, this is mainly a behavioral disease. Many of these sugar, BP, this one, cholesterol, heart attack, all these are and mental problems, mental this thing, depression. So
Right.
many things like anxiety. All these are lifestyle related diseases. So it's in
Hmm.
our hands. But you need that. You have to be a teacher. You have to be a motivator. You have to be a mentor.
Hmm.
So if you take that role, then definitely it works. So
Right, right. So can this be used in all kinds of diseases, sir? Or I mean, it has effect on only on some specific diseases.
uh, some it will work, but even in there are certain, see, half of the medicines have a pathology basis behind it.
Hmm.
For example, now suppose I have a gallstone or a kidney stone or something. Definitely there is a pain factor. There is no doubt about it.
Yes.
But once you have that pain factor, over that there's a fear factor also. Will I get
Hmm.
my pain? Will I get my pain? Will I get my pain? Because I already had the pain. So there is a psychosomatic overlay over that. That can be controlled by the placebo effect. You'll
Hmm.
also know whether it is true pain or not, or true symptom or not. Because
Hmm.
those which are imagined by the patient, or those which are due to the anxiety of the patient is coming, those things can be removed. And
Hmm.
there's nothing lost in it. You're not doing anything wrong. There's
Of
nothing
course, yeah.
Hippocratic oath or anything like that. You're only helping the patient. So
Hmm.
that way, I think doctors, a good healer. That is why a doctor is not one who just prescribes something. You know, they should also be a healer. And that healing touch. Sometimes they say, "You just touch me, I'll be all right." It's not that your fingers have got some magical powers, but it's that
Hmm.
reassurance that you give the patient. You're going to be all right. Come on. That is why many patients didn't like the telemedicine and all that. While telemedicine is good, you can sit and talk like that. You don't get that comforting touch of the doctor. You don't get the
Right.
doctor taking your blood pressure and talking to you and smiling with you, and that kind of closeness you don't get, which is part of the healing process.
Hmm. Very nice. And actually, that's true. That prayer and faith. I believe in this that there is some higher power to which we can
Absolutely.
connect definitely through prayer, through intention. As you mentioned, you told a woman that you are doing a prayer for her, and I think
Correct.
you have
Correct.
also mentioned a chapter also on prayer,
Yes.
right, in your
On
book.
prayer. I have done a chapter on prayer. Yeah.
I think that is very
Mhm.
powerful, sir. And then
Mhm.
when it comes to prayer, now talking about spirituality,
Yeah.
I think you have a chapter on spirituality also.
Chapter on
I also
spirituality.
learn a
Yes.
lot about spirituality. I do studies. And how has spirituality changed your life? And also,
It
I want
has
to add one
changed.
more question, sir, to that. Okay, I'll ask this question later. First, you finish this
Later.
now. How is spirituality affected?
Spirituality, if you are spiritual, I believe you become a better human being. So people
Hmm.
confuse religion and spirituality. And
Hmm.
so I
Right.
would like to kind of distinguish that people don't even know what spirituality is. So to me, religion is an organized set of rules. You know,
Okay.
you will go to church on a Sunday. You
Hmm.
will fast during Ramadan. You will, follow this Vaishnavite principle, or you will go to this, or the Buddha's dogmas are like that, or something else is like this. Hindu religion says don't eat beef. Something else says something else. So there's nothing right or wrong about it. They're all rules which are set down, and if you belong to that particular group, you follow that particular group. Nothing wrong in it at all. But that is not spirituality. That is for you. You follow your own thing. I
Hmm.
will do this time. I will eat before this time. James fast, they won't eat after sunrise, so sunset. So that is also good. So that particular group, they're following a particular set of rules which are laid down, so that everybody in that particular thing behaves in that particular way and follows that rule. That is religion. Of course, you also pray and all that. That is fine. Spirituality is very different. You don't need a religion at all. Okay,
Hmm.
you may have religion, may not have religion. Spirituality is love all, serve all, helping everybody. Okay, You help everybody. Doesn't matter what religion they are, what thing, all that doesn't matter. You're a human being, I'm a human being. You are a brother to me or a sister to me, and therefore I will go and help you to the best that I can. Okay, that is spirituality.
Mm.
Empathy comes there. Okay, you empathize for that person, and in whatever way you want to help, you can help. So my spiritual teachings, of course, comes from Bhagavan Satyasai Baba, whose
Okay.
8 words influenced me a lot. His entire teachings are 8 words. You can summarize everything. He says, love all, serve all. Okay, help ever, hurt never. That's it. Finished. You must love everybody, you must serve everybody. You help everybody, don't hurt anyone. Can't be simpler than that. But now
Yes.
you try to apply this. Your enemy is there. Can you love him? Can you serve him? Can you help him? And can you not hurt him? You know? So it becomes difficult.
Very
So when
difficult.
you try to
Yes.
do that in your profession also, patient is coming. I'll never hurt this person. I'll only help this person, whatever I can. Okay, I will serve this person and I will love that person. Okay, so these are the things when will that is the essence of spirituality. Now that sometimes you will have to, in that chapter I talk about it. There was a lady who came for many years. She was coming, and she at the last stage of her life, she came completely breathless. Heart had been enlarged so much, there's no way she's going to survive. Heart has become so big, it's not pumping, and she's about to die. So when she came for the last checkup, I told her and I told the family that this needs admission. You can't really treat this. She's like this. She's breathless. So I said, I can't treat her in the outpatient. I have to get her admitted. Then she said, no, I don't want admission. I would rather die. She said. I said, but I cannot just allow you to die like that. I'll have to at least make you comfortable. Something I have to do. I can't do that. Then she said, then I asked her, what is that you're afraid about? You tell me what's that afraid of. No, I don't want to get into that ICU and lie there. It's cold, and my relatives will not be there with me. And suppose I die there, they will not be there with me in the last minute. I said, oh, so that's your fear. Suppose I admit you and I keep you in a ward where your children are with you, in a room where children are with you. Is that okay? She said, yeah, that is okay. But I don't want to get into that ICU. I said, fair enough. So I called my intensivist and I said, let's treat this the person in a room. She said, she's not fit to be treated in a room. I said, I know that. I know she's not fit to be, but she's asking for it. He said, I can't do that, sir. That's I can't do that. I have to keep her in a place where ventilator is there. I said, she doesn't want ventilator. That's the whole thing. Whole point is she doesn't want ventilator. So then he said, no, I'm sorry, sir. I will not be able to treat her like that. I'm only used to treating like this. I said, okay, I'll take her on. No problem. I don't need the intensivist. I'll take her on. So I took the family aside separately and I said, look, the chances of her surviving is very small. Okay. All I can do is to make her a little comfortable because her heart is so big. It's not going to come back to normal. If not now, in the next few days or few weeks, she's going to die. There's no
Mm.
doubt about it. Unless you do a heart transplant, she's in no condition to get a heart transplant. The general condition not allowed. Where are you going to get the heart from? And she's not
Mm.
going to undergo that. She's too old for that. She won't undergo that. What do you say? I feel that we can't just take her home and allow her to gasp and die like this. At least make her comfortable and no, doc, this is what you're saying is absolutely right. But her wish is not to go to the ICU. I said, I won't keep her in the ICU. I'll keep her in the room. So we kept her in the room, gave her some Lasix and oxygen and this and that. Not. She became very comfortable. Okay, so her breathlessness disappeared. She's smiling. When she came, she was in such pain and so pale because of no oxygen, and everything settled down. That night, after the first day passed, and then that night, the children were singing, sitting with her and singing bhajans. A very religious family. One of them was a bhajan singer, the son, and so they were sitting, and then as they were singing the bhajan, she passed away.
Oh.
Okay, and she was conscious even up to that, and then she slowly smiled and she just died. Now that is the best thing for them. For months after that, family members would come and thank me, for
Wow.
being able to sing bhajans while their mother died. you know and her
Mm.
wish was not to die in the ICU. Okay, And she, she had a family with her. She had only two things. One, I should not be in the cold ICU. Second, my family should be with me. Okay, both the conditions were justified. Okay, and then the intensive said, had she come to the ICU, maybe I would have saved her. I said, maybe you would have saved her. I don't think so, because I think she was too far gone. But even if you had saved her, she would have still been in that cold ICU. And if she had been conscious, she would never have been happy. Now I
Hmm.
saw a happy person die. And
Very nice.
so that is the essence of this, of
Wow.
feeling for somebody. And true spirituality is that sometimes you have to break a rule to help people, and that is what true spirituality is what important. So if you can bring it into medicine, see the other thing what the doctor said also, I have no problem with what he said, but he is following the rule of the medicine. No, this is like that, this is like that. There's no bending backwards, there is no stretching, there is no argument, there is no negotiation, nothing. I treat in this way, and this is the only way I treat. That's it. Whereas for me, I said no. I will. This is how I would have treated. But given this particular, and after explaining to everything, I got all their consents. I've got their informed consents in writing. Tomorrow they cannot sue me and say you
Hmm.
did not do your best or something like that. I've got it all clear in writing from the patient as well as from the relatives. All I've given it in writing. So tomorrow something happens, I will not be blamed at all. But then
Right.
even today, after many years, they'll say, we can never forget what you did for our mother. How
Hmm.
happily she went. We see her
Wow.
face even smiling, happy, listening to bhajans. That was her most favorite. Her wish always used to be, I should die listening to bhajans. She had told them
Wow.
that so many times, and she went like that. You know.
Wow,
So
such
that
a
is what
beautiful
true
story, sir.
spirituality.
Wow. It's a real life story. And you said that, sometimes I liked it when you said sometimes you have to break the rules
Correct.
to bring spirituality. Very nicely said, sir.
Not all doctors will agree with me. They'll say,
Mm,
he's a mad fellow, he's doing all this. We have to do it the way we are taught, and this is how we should do. Well, it's up to them, but I choose to be different.
right. So, sir, before I ask my last question, I had one question before that. Very simply, it's not off topic. Actually, it is on topic right now. I wanted to ask you about diabetes. Let's say somebody has diabetes and listening to this right now, they must be expecting we talk something about diabetes. In short, sir, if somebody has diabetes, what they should do and what they should not do, in very short.
I talk about the ABCD mantra. So the ABCD mantra every diabetic person must follow. A stands for HbA1c. I told you about that 7% test,
Hmm.
3 months average test. That should be kept below 7%. B stands for blood pressure. So the BP should be kept below 140 by 90. C
Hmm.
stands for cholesterol and the LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol. The LDL cholesterol should be below 100 or even below 70 in some cases. And
Hmm.
D stands for discipline. Under discipline, we add diet. So you must eat a healthy diet, more of vegetables, less of rice and less of wheat or the carbohydrates part. You can have a little fruit, but vegetables are very important. Exercise also is added under the D, the discipline part. So you must go for a walk half an hour to 1 hour every day, depending on your capacity, and that must be regular. You can do
Hmm.
yoga, pranayama, meditation, relaxation, so that your mind is also under control.
Hmm.
Next, you must avoid smoking completely and also have either don't drink at all or drink very little, drink in moderation. And that's
Hmm.
one more very important thing. So if you follow and then go for a regular checkup, that's also very important, because unless you go for regular checkup, the ABC also you cannot think, and for the D also you will not get help. So for the
Right.
ABCD to come true, I think you must go for a regular checkup. I believe, and I have published and I have shown that if you follow this ABCD mantra, people with diabetes can also live up to 100 years of age. I've got people who have lived up to 100 years of age, many, not one or two, and they're doing really well.
Wow.
But people who don't look after themselves, who don't follow the ABCD mantra, then by the time they're 30, 40, 50 years old, they develop all the complications: eye, kidney, heart, feet, amputations, blindness, renal failure, kidney failure, heart attacks. All these also I see. So I see the two ends of the spectrum, one where they do really well, and the other where they don't do well at all. And if you see very clearly, the second group doesn't do well, they do not follow this ABCD rules. The first group is done well, they follow the ABCD rules. So if you follow these, I think every person with diabetes can have a long and healthy life. And remember, it's a lifestyle disorder. So 50% of the job is with the person with diabetes. They have to look after. The
Mm,
doctor's job is only to guide them, but they have to live with the disease day to day, and therefore they have to look after themselves. So diabetes, I would end in ending, I would say diabetes is not a disease, it's a disorder. So when I've
mm,
got it in all my clinics, as you know, I have 50 clinics in 32 cities of India now. So across in every clinic, you'll find a quote from me saying, diabetes is not a disease, it's a disorder. People love that, you know, and say that. Again, I've had in social media, I've been bashed by people by saying you're trivializing a serious medical condition. You're saying it's not a
mm.
disease. If somebody goes blind, is it not a disease? Why are you trivializing it and why are you making it sound very easy and all that? I said, I'm saying both sides of the coin. I'm saying one side is like the coin has two sides. You can either have a good side of diabetes and a bad side of diabetes. I am telling people you don't have a disease because you can control it. And anything that you can control yourself, then it's not a disease, it's a disorder. A disorder can
Right.
become a disease can become a bad disease and can kill you also. That's a different thing. But why I've written that is treat it like a disorder and you reverse it like a disorder. So
Wow.
that way,
Nice.
diabetes is controllable.
Amazing. Diabetes is a disorder because it is under your control. You can reverse it very nicely. I think I like it point. So, sir, let's conclude it. So, this is my last question to you, sir. And in your book, you have mentioned about your own transformation. You have gone to the part of spirituality, and you would agree that you have changed every moment of your life. I see when I look back in my own life 10 years back, I was very different. Now, let's say it is a hypothetical question that you meet yourself as a 20-year-old. Let's say, okay, you go back into the time machine. So, what suggestion or what life lesson would you give to yourself as a 20-year-old?
Um, I think most of what I have done, I had planned even when I was 20 years old, I had already planned. For example, in my profession, what all I would achieve, to a large extent, even when I was 18, 20 years old, and it comes in my book, I've actually said that my classmates, we all discussed together. I said, I will do this, and this is my aim.
Wow.
And because I write it down, that's another tip that I would like to tell everyone. If you really want to achieve something in life, write down 10 things that you want to achieve in your life, and very soon you'll find all the 10 coming true. And then this spirituality part of it, even when I was young, it was there. Again, in my book I talk about it. Even when I was 18, 20, I'd visited Ramana ashram. I'd gone to Aurobindo ashram. I'd gone to many temples. I had gone to so many places. I had gone. Some inner calling was there. I couldn't make out what it was. So I'll go and stay in one place. Very nice, very peaceful, very good. But some voice kept telling, but this is not the real one for you. This is not the real one for you. It kept telling me. And I said, very nice. Everything is nice, but this is not the one I'm looking for. I don't know what I'm looking for. I know this is not the one I'm looking for.
Mm,
The inner voice telling me that this is not the one. And then I also, I think, talk about it in this book. I also definitely talk about it in my Baba book, that I had gone to Whitefield, and that is my first, step towards Satya Sai Baba, which I took. And I'd been to the Whitefield ashram. There's a second ashram of this. The first one is in Puttaparthi. Second one is in Whitefield. And I was told he was there, but when I went there, he was not there. He had already left for Kodaikanal that morning. I
mm,
missed him just by a few hours. I missed him.
mm,
And I entered that ashram. I just entered, and he had already gone. His
mm,
vibration must have been there. The
mm,
moment I entered, I told my friend who took me there and my wife, I told them, this is it. This is it. And they didn't know what is it because what is it? There? I said, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for all my life. And even my friend who was a devotee, and I'm not a devotee. I'm entering only for the first time. I haven't seen him even. Then he asked me, what do you mean this is it? You're not even seen him. So how can you say
mm,
it is it? I said, no, I'm sure. Because all this time I knew there was something missing. The
mm,
moment I took my first step inside, like the voice tells me that this is it.
mm,
This is like 26 years ago, if not more,
mm,
28 years ago, probably. 28 years ago, this happened. And over the last 28 years, it's only got stronger. It is not some passing thing. After a year, it will have gone away. After 28 years, it's become stronger and stronger. So
mm,
that is the calling of the guru. So the guru is actually calling you at that time. Until then, you didn't know what it was. And his calling comes when he called. We cannot decide when we are called. When we are called me today, we cannot say. They know when to call and then only will come. It may be a different guru for different people. It may be different calling for different people. It may be different religion for different people. But that calling comes. And when that calling comes, you know that this is what I have been, waiting for or something like that. And therefore, we should, listen.
No,
Yeah.
lastly, you said that about mentioning
Yeah.
10, writing 10 questions, right? So I have written down 50
Correct. Correct.
questions,
Correct.
50 things that I wanted to do. And this
And
this
they're all happening
podcast,
one
yeah,
by
they're
one.
happening one by one. This talk show is also one of them, actually.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right. So fine, sir. It was
So wish you all
really.
the very best and
Thank you,
all the
sir.
very best to viewers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Really great talking
Thank
to you, sir.
you.
A lot of
God bless
wisdom. Thank you, sir.
and
All
stay
right.
blessed.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All
Thank you
right.
so much. Bye
Sir.
bye.